they think they can just open do it too. It's more than just, do it. It's like strategize, plan, build, grind, research,
There's a
grow.
lot of steps. Yo, welcome to Dreams of Kings and Queens, where we talk about the most interesting things. Today I have...
My name is Donovan, Mr. Don, here at the Pratt Library Creation Station, coordinator.
Bunch of roles, so many roles. You from
From
what I've heard, you have a lot of skills and assets under your belt. And I'm here to not only bring out your story before that, but what it's like to have all of those skills, right? So let's start with where you're from.
Okay. I'm from New Jersey originally, down in South Jersey. I'm really a country boy, bootleg cowboy and beach bum down in South Jersey near Philly and Atlantic City. Went to college in North Jersey, worked out in New York in my first years after college at Family Circle magazine and Esquire and 17 magazine. So I had a nice little run as a graphic designer, did some photography, photo studio, portrait style stuff.
Okay. So at what point from Jersey did you make your way to Baltimore?
So I want to say like 2008, I had a good friend of mine. He owned a t-shirt printing company, and he was selling t-shirts like on the boardwalk of the beaches and a couple of different stores and mall kiosks. And he liked my salesmanship, so he asked me, if I wanted to work like a little seasonal job, and it was in Baltimore. I told him I had a cousin that lived in Baltimore, so I could stay with him and work for that guy. And I did it. I had custom mall t-shirt kiosks in all the White Marsh. I did Towson, Anne Arundel Mills, Security, Marley Station. We set them up every year, and we would do it from like December to Black Friday to Christmas. And that was like a holiday seasonal gig. And then while I was staying with my cousin, he in 2011 he came up with the idea of opening up his own tattoo shop. So we opened up the Rip Canvas Artist Social Club in 2013 was our grand opening, and we've been rocking with it ever since.
So you work at a tattoo shop?
Yeah, I started a tattoo shop. So I'm tattooed, but that wasn't never my main focus. My focus was the brand, the actual, the marketing and who we are as a business, who we are as a brand, who our audience is and how to market to them, whether it was, through our graphics, the logos, all the different marketing materials, the business side of it, the behind the scenes.
Right. So there's been occasions where I would see you in here, you're working on like a design, right? So on the side, you do designs for other businesses?
Yeah, I've been working in graphic design for over 20 years. So like whether it be logos, marketing materials like advertisements and little things like, flyers. I've done it all, business cards, commercials, animations for graphics. So, I've been doing it for a long time. And that's one of the reasons why I came to the Pratt Library to help teach the kids some of the, the professional side of it.
Right.
I always joke, you can't pour syrup on shit and call it pancakes.
Okay. Wait, that went over my head. What does it mean? You can't pour syrup?
You can't pour syrup on shit and call it pancakes.
Okay. So it's like you can't have like something look pretty or like it's pretty.
If something look pretty and people like it, that's good. That could be considered art. But I look at it from a perspective of when you talk about branding and we talk about brands, not just logos. When we talk about a brand, it's more than just a logo. Your brand identity is your logo. So that way people can recognize you as, Enoch Pratt Library. They have their graphics you see on all the signs, on all the marketing materials in the magazines. You'll see their logo in there, but everything has its system. So it has that consistent feel. Because everything is kind of strategic, psychologically, what colors they use. There's what we call psychology of colors. So red
Yeah, you were telling me about that with the football teams usually show you those colors how they work together.
Right. You'll always see your complementary colors in sports teams for sure.
And there's also like science behind it where like places like McDonald's or Starbucks will have certain colors that attract your eyes more and are like, come here. We have these.
Could be organic. That might be the green side of things. It could be blue. That could be the healthcare side of things. I know Pratt uses red. You don't see red as a brand color as much, but it would be a tone of red more so than just like a general red, like a stop sign red. It'll be like a tone of red.
Yeah. You said you do the graphic design, the tattoos and stuff. So what is your brand? How would people find you, or what would they do to,
Me personally, I do on Instagram, on the website. You can check out rippedcanvas.com, Ripped Canvas on Instagram. That's RIPPD Canvas. The Ripped Canvas is actually representative of the tattoo. So like, if you're familiar with the show Ink Master,
I've seen it.
When they bring out the people that they're going to tattoo, they always call them canvases.
Okay.
So let's see your canvases for the next challenge, and it will be people.
Yeah.
So the ripped canvas is the tattoo. The skin is the canvas. The ripped part is actually, someone stabbing you.
Yeah, so like the tattoo is like ripping the
it's
canvas.
Ripping the skin.
That's hard. I like that. I like that.
When my cousin came up with the idea, I loved it. And, I really bought into like, okay, now I want to take this crazy cool idea and make it a household name, to make it a brand, so that, in Baltimore City and then throughout as we grow, this can be a staple tattoo shop for many years to come. And it's more than just tattooing, because like I said, even though I'm still doing graphic design and doing marketing for people, I do photography as well. So, I may not tattoo every day, but I'm always going to be doing, my disciplines when it comes to my creative fields.
So as far as the tattoo shop, because I'm interested in this, it sounds like a great plan, idea, and you took it to not completion, but you made it real, right? So how far in your process of creating that brand or making it that staple shop in Baltimore are you in? Have you reached that point? Or
well, 10 years, over 10 years we've been going. You Google tattoo shops in Baltimore, we coming up in the top of the list. I got artists that won awards at the tattoo conventions. I done probably did over 15 tattoo conventions all over the country. So from that perspective, I think we are close to becoming, one of those household names, and like you said, it's always evolving. Our shop, we have at one point, maybe we were it, but then, people, they grow, they move on. I see our artists flourishing as far as them, spreading their wings and opening up their own businesses and own shops, doing their own thing. So I love to see that evolution. And then we get a new crop of artists that are young students. It's kind of, I always joke and say I'm like Professor X from the X-Men. And even with all our tattoo artists, there's a Wolverine, there's a Storm, there's a Cyclops, and the new mutants would be the new kids that come in,
So you're really into that's Marvel, right?
Marvel.
You're really into the Marvel
X-Men.
Stuff.
That was my favorite, honestly.
They're really cool.
Yeah, that's one of my, and it's inspirational because a lot of people don't know this, but the story from the X-Men comes from the civil rights movement, which was happening when they were starting writing those comic books in the 60s. So they took, as they say, art imitating life. And I like the storyline of it. I like the fact that these kids are misfits and nobody really appreciates them for who they are, but they do have something more than just, looks or talents. You know what I mean? And these kids, they have special powers. They're leaders. They're going to save the world one day. Yeah. And then I'm hoping that the teens here in the teen centers, it's not about saving the world, it's saving their world. You know what I mean?
Okay, so you're like a real life, I'm seeing it. You're putting it together in my mind. You're Professor X. This is who you are.
Literally.
Because you run this, you're mostly in charge of the makerspace. This is you. So you bring in all of these kids and you see their talents. You understand what they can do. Like the girl we that was just in here the other day making Valentine's Day cards out of
Right.
knuckles and flowers, and
Mm-hmm.
you're pulling her forward.
Mm-hmm.
You're showing her, okay, you
Giving
can do
them some
this.
guidance, sharing
Yeah.
some resources, trying to introduce them to a few more things, because a lot of the kids, like even you are one of them, you know, there's a lot of kids that are really talented in here, but they do need a little bit of guidance. They need a little bit of structure, you know. For me, I've been working in the professional world of it. You know, a lot of people, they in the Instagram world of it. All they see is whatever 10-second video clip, or they think they can just open do it too. It's more than just, you know, do it. It's more, it's like strategize, plan, build, you know, grind, research.
There's a
grow.
lot of steps that come into it.
Because
You can't just jump into the game. You need to do your research, do your homework on that, do your homework on blowing up and getting into business.
And trust the process. It's not going to be an overnight thing. Nothing happens overnight. Now, the people that do get that overnight success, good for them. But the people that have longevity, they're the ones that they keep working. They keep working. They keep reinventing themselves. They always stay as an empty palette, meaning, you know, you never know. You're always going to evolve. You're always going to change. So it shouldn't be, oh, I know all the answers now, I'm good. It should be, okay, today I need to focus on this, and then tomorrow I'm gonna learn that, and then by the end of the week I'm gonna be 10 times as better.
Yeah, so I can say with that piece, that what you just said right there, I can verify, you know, with my own personal experience, because as of right now, I'm going through that blank canvas. Like, I'm willing to take in these new skills. I've never done YouTube. I've never done recording, interviews, anything. But once that opportunity and that new path is in front of you, you got to be open to follow it. You got to be open to
take it by the horns.
Go. You know, you got to be ready. But let's circle back to your story, right? I'm into like people's upbringing. You know, in Baltimore City, like specifically, there are a lot of kids and teenagers and adults even who are unhealed. They were traumatized. They were put through bad times and had no way of understanding how they felt. So you're from Jersey, born and raised.
Yep.
Okay, so what was that like? What was it like growing up there?
New Jersey is very diverse. So like from the perspective of, you know, you're going to meet people, Mexican, black, white, we all go to school together. You know, Baltimore is a little bit different. You're going to see predominantly black, you know, and it's okay. There might be a small minority of this, that, and the other in there as well. But I think it's awesome when you grow up around a diverse group of kids, you know, and everybody's getting along. It's not a bunch of, oh, the black kids over there, the white kids over here, the Mexican kids over there. It's more about, you know, we all here, you know, and I think that helped out a lot for me because I'm a people person. I can talk to anybody. You know, I don't care where you come from, which race or whatever, color, creed, you know, religion. I'm gonna be able to communicate with you effectively, you know. And I think we need more of that, because that's the problem in America, is we so divided by, you know, whether it's skin color or religion or something that's making everybody like, oh, I'm better than you, I'm not. You're not, you're othered, and whether it's sexual orientation, it's a lot of factors. But right now is probably the worst time in America since, you know, slavery and civil rights and segregation.
Yeah, it's bad. It's because it's more, honestly, right now, I haven't had the luxury, or like not luxury, the opportunity to travel and really see what other parts are like. But what I see here, it's a lot of it's not even a race thing. It's a lot of disconnect between people. And it might be because, you know, where they're from, who they know, or like fear, but that connectivity is like, it creates a bad effect on the community. Like, we're together, but we're together in groups, almost like tribes.
Right.
You know?
And that is kind of scary, because, you know, how far are we going to go like that? Are we just all going to turn each other's backs on each other every chance that we get? You know, I remember when I was in high school, you know, you wouldn't find a lot of black skateboarders, you know, and that was something that I really loved when I was a kid in the 80s, you know, and I went to private school. So obviously I learned it from the white kids. The white kids introduced me to skateboarding, and I loved it, you know. But then by the time I went to public school, you know, I'm back in the classes with my peers that, when I was at Catholic school, I was the only black kid in the whole school. So when I go to public school, I'm back with my people that I grew up with. So it's not even about, oh, they just black or this, but it was more diverse.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody was skateboarding in my friend group. So, I would hear that, oh, you doing that white boy stuff. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I had to be able to maneuver between all that. But I knew I would always stay true to myself. If I like skateboarding, so be it. I didn't care about being called white boy or anything like that, because that was a true thing. Being a light-skinned brother, green eyes, people think you mixed all the time. What are you? You have to navigate through all that. And because I grew up around a really diverse crowd of kids, it gave me an advantage to be able to, maneuver in all the different avenues. I could go to Miami and hang out with rich people that are, privileged. I can hang out in the hood and still be good. I can go into the suburbs and be respected because I'm intelligent. It wasn't about, oh, I'm in this section. I mean, that's why I'm always going to be like, I want to say original and authentic when it comes down to it, because I'm not like looking up to anybody trying to emulate them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna become my own.
Yeah, I think that's honestly inspiring and really important through life. Like, you have to find who you are and stay true to that, but also have flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
Once you find out who you are, then you can find out what you can be. You can, okay, I can do this too. Maybe I can do a little bit of that, because you have somewhere to come back to. If you don't know who you are and you go do this, you're this now.
Right.
Then you go do this, you're this now. But you lost this person that you started as. You lost your home base. So that's honestly, you being taught that throughout childhood is really important. I don't know if that's a problem in other people's communities, but that's inspiring.
But I had to learn it too. It wasn't anything that anybody sat down and talked to me about.
Yeah, it's through
just knowing the life experience is going to be up and down. That's how I navigated. I never had everything. My parents weren't rich. I was lucky to have a stepdad in my life that would introduce me into things like college, and giving me that idea before I even got close to graduating high school. I knew I was going to go to college just because they introduced it to me early. And that was a different era too. There was a TV show called Different World. It was coming on right after the Cosby Show, and it was the kids at the black college. And you really it wasn't even exclusive, like, oh, this is a black college, even though the whole cast was black. It just was college to us. You know what I mean? Yeah. Now it's a big deal. HBCUs, we have Morgan State, Coppin right there. But like back then, I just saw a college. I want to go to college after high school, and then I could become a professional artist. Even though back then, I didn't think I was thinking graphic design or photography. I was thinking I'm going to work for Marvel. I wanted to draw the next Spider-Man book.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on that actually. So as a child, throughout life in general, your passion and your goals, your dreams are going to change, right? So while you were a child, what was your that Marvel was your goal?
That's what I always drew. I was always an artist, and it was Marvel, NBA players, Michael Jordan, Wheaties Box, Dominique Wilkins, Slam Duncan, NFL guys running the football. So I always thought that I was going to, be a artist. Illustration was a top choice for me, because I looked up to the comic book artists and the comic book illustrators, the Todd McFarlanes and the Rob Liefelds, Jim Lee. These were the guys that drew all the comics that we all loved. So like as a teenager, I'm gonna get a job working for a comic book. I'm gonna do my own comic book, right? But then when I got to college, or actually even before I got to college, all those famous illustrators that work for Marvel, they basically quit Marvel. Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, Eric Larson, they all left Marvel and started up their own publishing company called Image Comics. And that's where Spawn comes from. There's a couple of The Walking Dead. That comes from them.
Okay.
Because they were the guys that said, yo, this corporation that's not paying us for our creations, Rob Liefeld, created Cable and all these cool X-Men characters. You're not getting any licenses and royalties from that.
Mm.
Todd McFarlane created Venom.
So it's because they left that they're not.
Well, that they wasn't going to get it anyway. That was the way of the world. It's just like similar to the music industry with publishing. You know what I mean? That you work for the publishing company or the record label. You know, you write a song. The record label gives you 2% of what they make for it. But this is your creation.
Yeah.
Yeah, they promoted you. Yeah, they signed you and put some money in your pocket and made your commercials and produced your videos and got your studio time. But you only getting 10% of what you making for that song is kind of crazy to me. But that is why they left Marvel, because they was doing all this creative stuff. Jim Lee, he has still the highest selling comic book of all time is the X-Men #1 that he drew, and he not getting any royalties from that. He get his little $5.95 an hour or whatever he got paid from Marvel, and that's it.
So like, when you were a child and you found this out, like you found out, oh, they're leaving.
Oh yeah.
You knew that it was because of the pay?
Well, they were talking about it. They were out and about. It wasn't any internet yet, but you know, there were magazines that we all as comic book collectors would get, and then it'd be the story, you know, and they all leave. And they all leave. It's not just Marvel. Some of them left DC too. So it's like all the hottest artists say, hey, wait a minute, we're going to start our own thing instead of you making money off us and not giving us any kickback. Think about it. Venom, you know, there's a kid drew Venom. He's right up there, you know. That guy that started that design, Todd McFarlane, they made a movie out of it. You know, Deadpool
is popular.
Huge. So you can't I mean, if they gave him 2% of everything they made off of Venom or Deadpool, my man would be sitting pretty.
Yeah.
Because they keep making stuff with it.
So was that like a pivotal moment for you? Like when you found that out, like, man, as an artist doing this creation, I'm not going to get that pay. Was it?
Right.
You're like, you switched into like personal.
I thought about it from a perspective of what do I like more than comic books, or how can I still be a creative but maybe not draw comic books. And then that's where I figured out my love for magazines. You know, I was really into sports magazines, really into fashion magazines, hip hop magazines, Vibe and The Source. They were huge back then. I mean, I still got a collection of all those great 90s magazines. The famous Death Row on Vibe magazine with Tupac and Suge and Snoop. You know, I got all that stuff. I lived through it, you know, but the thing was, like, this is part of me. So what am I going to pick that's going to be still me? You know what I mean? So that's where I lean more to the magazines. And that's, you know, when I discovered graphic design is kind of like the cornerstone of, they call it desktop publishing. That's when you lay out a whole magazine. The pages, the ads, all the typography, the typesetting, the paragraphs. It's a big business. The people that typeset, that lay out the paragraph, are different from the people that do the ads, and are different from the people that do the cover, and are different. They're all in a big team. It's like a big corporation team department. You know, the marketing department, they'll handle all the ads. The editorial department, they do all the writing. You know, the typesetters, they do all the typography, so they can make sure that you can read it really good and it's all right nice in that little type, you know. Then the art director, they'll get with the junior designers and the associate art directors, and they'll say, hey, we need a new layout for this article that GQ wrote this article about Denzel Washington. We need to get a photograph of Denzel, and I need you typesetters to do a cool graphic that goes really nice. It's a big team effort, and it's really cool from that perspective. I thought about it. I wanted to work in New York. My college was right next to New York City, and one of my professors, they worked in magazines. So they, you know, made a couple calls for me, and next thing you know, I'm here in New York. I got my internship at a magazine. They hired me after my internship was over, and then I worked for them for about 5 years before it was time for me to take what I did with them and kind of boost it up to my own. So it's been a journey, and I'm still growing. I mean, now it's AI. AI is kind of taking over, but not from the perspective of it's not taking over people's jobs. It's becoming the newest, biggest resource for creatives that we can use to even, create more or even more elaborate designs or more creative projects.
Yeah, definitely. You were telling me about how the AI scene is like you're creating these videos on TikTok that are blowing up daily because it's just like you got an AI character, you have an AI created like scenery, AI created script, like everything is like a 5 minute process now. You put it out.
In 2 hours, we made was like a 1 minute video, but it was like you said, the voice, the graphic, the video portion, whether it was just a 3 second clip of somebody walking, it can be done. But for me, I don't think that takes the creativity out of the artist's hand as much as it does make the artist think more about what they want to produce, because we have to tell the AI what we want it to be.
Yeah.
And me personally, I'm not just settling for anything that looks cool.
You need it. You need that full effect. But when it comes down to the AI, you grew up in a time without much technology. It was there, but it wasn't,
Yeah.
So how did you stay adaptive throughout that change? Throughout all of these years of like you're getting introduced to these new things.
Yeah, that was big for me. There? I mean, okay, look at it from like this. I knew what Adobe was in the 90s before I went off to college, and I had a little touch of Corel Draw. So that right there kind of gave me a foundation to let me know, oh, I know what the professional tools are, So by the time I got to college, I had a little bit of a advantage over the other students because I had already dabbled in it a little bit, you know. I had they sent us to not summer, but like weekend art classes. So we got introduced.
Was that for free or did you have
to? No. Well, it was free, but they picked us. Yeah. So it was almost like a scholarship.
Yeah, I think that another thing that's important in following your dreams is you need to find those opportunities that put you in a place ahead.
Yeah.
Like this Journey Record, what we're doing, what is going on in here, Journey Records, it's a place for young artists to come in and learn.
Yep.
Be put ahead of the curve. So it's important as you, a dreamer, to go and get ahead of the curve. Do your research, find a program, talk to people. People like Professor X right here that will put you ahead is what you need in your life. Find guidance in your life. Yeah. It's important.
Big time, big time.
But so as of right now, what is your overall dream, your overall goal or dream? Because you were wanting to do the tattoo thing for a while. You're still doing it. The comic book thing as a child. What's your dream at this current day?
So right now, I'm kind of just thinking more just like human goals. You know what I mean? I'm not married. I don't have kids. Is that something I'm looking forward to? It's possible. You know what I mean? I'm a little older now, so it's like not that time is ticking, but it's something to really consider. Is that what you want? Because me personally, living the life that I've lived is super fortunate because most kids don't get to do the jobs that I did. Most kids out of college don't get the type of opportunities that I had. Most people don't hustle and try to make opportunities like I did because most of them will just wait for it to happen. And I didn't do it all by myself. I had a lot of support. So I will always acknowledge, the people that really helped me, between my cousin Dominic with the tattoo shop and mentors throughout college that gave me opportunities was something that really was big for me because it gave me an advantage. And then so far as right now, I think if I could say one thing that I really want to do is I want to produce more visual art that goes to art galleries. Like I'm a purist, so I want to see an art show with my Gray Mask Man pop art pieces, and I want to build that up so that I leave a legacy of art behind. So when I'm dead, 10, 15, 20, 50, 100 years later, you can go see one of my art pieces hanging up in a museum.
Yeah, I think that's everyone's real. Like if you're a creator, an artist, that's everyone's real goal. You want your stuff to stay.
Right.
But I think legacy. You could also like with what you're doing right now, you could do that through the kids you're connecting with, for
100%,
sure. Like
100%.
everyone that you have talked to in this space, they're gonna forever remember you and your
Big time.
story. I was just talking about this last night. Through the people you connect with, your story is gonna get passed down.
Yep.
Your inspiration, your passion, that is all gonna reach the next generation.
I
So
believe
it's
it.
important to like once you are given, you give.
Mm-hmm.
You
Pay
feel
it
me?
forward, as they say.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm big on that because even, you know, you see it, you can see it without me saying it. You know what I mean? The kids that are serious about whatever they're into, I'm going to lean into them.
Yeah.
And I'm always going to give them, like, even before we filmed this, I was like, hey, tip of the day, when you filming people doing interviews, you always, or portraits, you always want to put your camera lens on the same path as their eyes, because it just gives you a nice balanced composition. You'll have the top space, and you know you got that big fro, so you need a little bit of space up
I need
top.
all of the space. Check
So
the
you can
Afro
see
Kid
that
out, man.
jump.
Shout out Afro Kid, man. Real quick, just something slight. But yeah. So with dreams, I think comes motivation,
Mm-hmm.
right? When you have a big dream, you need motivators. Some people say the money is a motivator. What is your overall motivation? What do you use?
I don't know. You know, I'm gonna bring this up, and it might sound corny to some people,
Let it
but
be corny.
I bought a book maybe about 20 years ago, probably, and it's called Inspired from Within. And this is a book that was written by Michael Jordan.
Sounds like some Buddhism.
Well, it's not necessarily, but what you want to do is, like we talk about, finding who you are as an artist and who you are as a brand, and you know, sticking to what you believe in, you know, creating your own path. That right there is kind of like my inspiration. You know, for me to be self-made and create nonstop, always having clients, always producing work. That's for me the dream. Because, like, I mean, yeah, I want to have, you know, financial freedom from that perspective, but like my life is not dependent on money as much. Yeah, we need it to survive. Yeah, I need a job, obviously, but like that's never like my goal. I look past the money because the money will come. But for me, I'm looking for the legacy. So to be inspired from within, for me, I think that's the same kind of motivation somebody like Muhammad Ali had. You know, he got some enlightenment from, you know, his religion, and that helped him stay on a path. But like somebody with that kind of will to like become who they wanted to be, no matter what, nobody can get in your way but yourself. So you always have to like look at yourself as obviously the savior and your worst enemy, because at the end of the day, racism exists. There's a lot of hate going on in the world, but guess what? The only person that can stop you is you.
So can you touch more on that savior and what did you say? Worst enemy?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, it's a weird analogy because it's not like I'm not a Jesus figure from a perspective of I'm not a savior, I'm not a Messiah, but I'm my own savior.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, nobody can save me but me. Yeah, I could pray to the Most High and I could believe in, you know, religious practices and have faith and hope. But if I don't get up and do it, it's not going to get done.
Okay.
So like, I'm the only one that can save me, and I'm the only one that could fuck it up for myself.
You can either build yourself up or tear yourself down.
Exactly.
Yeah, that relates to like I don't mean to get into religion, but there's a quote, I'll say a quote from the Bible. It tells you like those who use what they are given more, and in increasing rates.
Right.
And then it's like those who don't use what they are given, what they were given and what they have is taken from them. That's not an exact quote, but that's real. Like if you're not utilizing these opportunities you're given, you see school. There's so many programs in school and connections you can make where like if you're like, oh, I'll just go to school, get my grades and go home, you're wasting your time. I don't mean to say that like, you know, like cliche, but like you're really wasting your time. Like
literally.
For a while, you know, growing up in high school, I did my first 3 years. I'm going to school, I'm going home. Whereas like if I were to find my dream earlier, which like you can't force your dream, it
Mm-mm.
comes to you.
Right.
But once you find that dream, don't sit around waiting for your chance. Go out and get it. Start doing something different and move. Move. Be your creator. Build yourself up. Be your savior.
There's a famous, I don't want to call it famous quote, but there's a famous designer that I look up to. His name is Stephen Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ever heard of Stephen Smith, you would know he's like the sneaker god. He designed sneakers since the 90s for Adidas, Reebok, Nike, the Pump Fury, the Yeezy 700, all these famous sneakers. He was the designer behind it. And he said, if you don't do, you failed. And if you don't try, you're never going to know if you can succeed. So for me, that's one of those lines where it's strictly up to us. You know, we don't have the silver spoons. We don't have the nepotism, meaning like mom or dad helped me out and gave me the position, you know? So from that perspective, the only person that can save you is you. But at the same time, the only person that could destroy you is you. So it's like a slippery slope. And don't get it twisted. You're going to make mistakes, especially for the young people out there. You're going to make mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to fail. As long as you can pick yourself up and fix it later or learn from that mistake, that's the key. The key is to learn from the mistake, not avoid making mistakes. And of course, you don't want to make mistakes if you already have the knowledge. Then that's what avoiding it is. But at the end of the day, you could be your worst enemy or your greatest, champion.
Okay. So with people that have dreams, there's usually a lack of like, that passion or motivation or, just overall confidence.
Mm-hmm.
What piece of advice would you give to those people that want to start? They want to create, they want to go.
For me, just do it. I know it sounds corny, but like just
Nike said it best, man.
Just do it. I mean, honestly, and it's even like I said, like you don't have to like me. I had to go to college to get to New York and work at the magazines. These days it may not be the same. You may not have to go to college. Honestly, any kid that comes into this room every day of the week, you're gonna by the time it's time to graduate, you're gonna have knowledge enough that you probably already got 2-3 years of college knowledge in you.
Yeah, that circles back to like putting in that work.
Mm-hmm.
Put that work in.
I mean, I see other kids that come in, here every day. It makes me proud, to see them wanting to bust their butt and actually, it takes that drive to make it though, and that's really the key. Unless you got mommy and daddy gonna just give you a position, you need drive to make you get going, and it's got to come from yourself. That's why I say be inspired from within. Yeah, I like all these cool people in Hollywood and celebrities and stuff. Yeah, they cool, but at the end of the day, none of them is gonna help me do nothing. Michael Jordan, I met him too, and I told him a joke. It was funny, and he laughed, and I kept looking at him. He was laughing, and I was like, "Yo, it's like he's the devil." You know what I mean? He looks so evil, like the presence of him, and I was like kind of intimidated by him, like in this weird way, right? But like he didn't give me no job, and set me up. Even though it would have been awesome. I got the kids. You can see some of the sketches in the back where the kids are drawing the sneaker designs and colorways because, I kind of want them to see that as a real career. You never know. There might be a new sneaker designer coming up out of here. There might be a kid that becomes the next, you know what I mean? Cat Williams.
It's somebody. One of them. I see it. Somebody in here is doing it for sure. Yeah.
Young Quincy Jones over there.
I'm gonna put you in a video after this.
He got his earphones on. He can't even hear us.
Can't hear us. But let's tie it all back. Let's circle back around. I don't think I got enough of your story out, man. So at the end of every interview, I want to tie in a little bit of Baltimore City, right?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't grow up here, but you've been here for a while.
Right.
You understand the disconnect in
Mm.
Baltimore. You understand, like, you know, the problems in poverty and just fighting, violence in general. Like, what would your growing up, what are some things that you've seen, some pieces of, like, you know, news or anything that you've seen that's like affected you? Like, it's just powerful. This moved you.
I mean, for me, there's one thing. I mean, it is Black History Month, and for me, that means more to me than just like a tragic event or something like that. But there's this documentary I watched when I was younger called Eyes on the Prize. And it was talking about the civil rights movement. It was hard to look at because it was like all those famous videos of the police beating black people up, and sicking dogs on us, and hosing us down, and a lot of them sad visuals from the civil rights movement. But I will say the fact that we've come so far since then, and the fact that I got introduced to that early, it kind of gave me the mentality that I'm just going to make it because I got this, whether it's the spirit of the ancestors in me, or is it, my grandfather who was a businessman that inspired me to want to become something other than just the regular street dude. Because I've seen them all, and I went to Catholic school, but guess what? As soon as I got out of school, I went right to the projects to go hang out. You know what I mean? And I'm hanging out with my cousins. I'm hanging out with my peoples there. They made fun of me. I wore the same thing every day. Now all the kids wear uniforms to school. But back in the 80s and the 90s, that was, you wearing
Lame.
that again?
Lame, man.
You ain't even got no nice sneakers on. You wearing Chucks or Vans, and that's because I had skateboarding influence. But if I wore Nikes to school, the teachers would tell me to go home because I had on sneakers.
Yeah.
But the white boys, they can wear Vans and Chucks. So I'm gonna start wearing Vans and Chucks so I could wear sneakers. And I ended up loving Vans after that. But that was like the ultimate skateboard shoe. So that right there kind of really kind of set the tone for me as a young kid. But just like Eyes on the Prize, that documentary, that was such a instrumental part for me to have that become. I think that was the first time I had knowledge of self, meaning like I knew where black people came from. Yeah, they taught us in school and told us history lessons, but like to see it, like the video footage like that was major for me. And then I made mistakes too. So like without like giving too much away, I was influenced by the streets at one time. I was out there, buying into some of that knucklehead mentality. I was listening to hip hop and the gangster rap thinking that was cool. You know what I'm saying? So that right there, I would see people get killed. I saw people go to jail. I made mistakes and probably had brushed with the law that I could have been going to jail if they didn't pray for me, basically, or, somebody looked at me and thought that I had potential to not be a criminal or something. But that's a hard challenge for these young people out here. It's so many influences. It's so many shiny suits and pretty jewelries and cool cars and clothes and sneakers that everybody wants. And I think because they psychologically need and want that so much, they'll by any means try to get whatever they can get to make it happen. But they only looking at it for a moment. They're not thinking about longevity. I mean, I always thought about longevity. I always thought about legacy because I always saw it as, yo, you can be cool today and then next week you out of style. So how do you reinvent yourself so you stay relevant? That's a big thing. You think of somebody like a Madonna, the famous singer. She came out every so often. She always had a whole new style, a whole new look, a whole new vibe about her. And that right there let me know that you got to switch it up a little bit. You can't just, roll with what you think is right all the time. And you still want to be true to yourself, but you do have to kind of reinvent yourself sometimes. Okay. And I feel like I've done that a few times myself.
So you were telling me as a child, you grew up, you were influenced by the streets. What is it that got you out of that mentality? Was it the rebuild yourself? You have to keep switching. What was the
making
the
mistakes? For me, it's either go to jail or go to hell.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It's like, who wants to choose out of that? You know what I mean? But if that's the path you go down, there's only two options. And then you can see them. You can see the examples. Cousin Juju, this cat, that guy. You know what I mean? And, oh snap! We was just hanging out last week. Now their brains are splattered somewhere. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, I don't want to be down that path.
It's important to be aware of yourself. You have to know.
You do, bro.
Because like you don't want to be like stuck in your box of mentality where you're thinking like,
and I could have been that kid carrying guns, running around, doing dumb stuff. You know what I mean? I could have been him. I easily would have been him. But I had to like make the mistakes, learn from them, and luckily for me, dodge bullets because it ain't gonna be for everybody. Most kids, they either get in trouble and then they get sent up a river because that's just the way the system works now. But to get those second chances, boy, you better take advantage.
So were you ever given opportunity? Mm-hmm. Was it like what? Because I know for me, I grew up, pretty poor, right? Mm-hmm. It wasn't great, but I was given first something happened, something bad. That lesson that you're given, right, that you speak on, something bad happens, and then you're given opportunity. What was that point that you were given that new look on things? You were given that change.
That's tough, man.
Or did you have to make it for yourself?
I feel like I had to make it for myself, even though I definitely had a lot of support. A lot of the support that I had was vocal support. You know what I mean? They believed in me, but like if I didn't like nobody told me to, my parents, they introduced me to college. But when I told them I wanted to be an artist, they told me that was the wrong idea. Like, you ain't going to go to college to be an artist. That's a waste of money in their mind, But if I didn't make that mistake and dodge them bullets and come out on top, I definitely could have been a statistic. You know what I mean? And I looked at it like, oh, I got that chance to turn it around, become something. I always had dreams, so how am I going down that path all of a sudden? I'm not trying to become a gangster now. Why would I be a gangster after high school? It doesn't make sense. I was smart enough. I could go out and do stuff. I had talents. So it's like, just throw it all away and buy into this whole thug life bull crap. And so what? I got a gold chain and a nice car and some clothes, or actually build something. And at that point, I really didn't think of graphic design. I was thinking of, I knew that I had to go to college to become something. Yeah. Because back in those days, that's what it was. Yeah. If you don't go to college, you're just going to be working at a regular 9-to-5, whatever job, and I'm not going to say anything in particular because I got a lot of respect for people that do those jobs that people don't really think is glamorous. And in the world we live in today, if you ain't a rapper or NBA, NFL, making millions, they look at you like you ain't good enough. But a person making a decent amount of money is not no different than anybody that's got $100 million in their bank. Because most of the people that are rich like that, they pretty depressed.
Yeah, there's a lot of disconnecting people where they think, oh, this person on TV, they're just 100% better than everyone else. They're an idol. They're an icon. Mm-hmm. I was having a conversation with a friend where they're saying people look at these celebrities as like putting them on a pedestal. Like they're up there, untouchable. And it's like, it created that sense of like children and teenagers today, some adults just don't respect people.
Nope.
Even though like, even though you're what I would call a regular person as well, you don't have that same respect for the other regular people in your life, everyday people. Because even though celebrities are regular people and they get more respect or they get less respect.
Sometimes it's like that. And
it's not
one minute they're on top, next minute everybody's attacking them.
Yeah.
I saw a great article this morning. It was about this woman named Rachel Dolezal. And if you never heard of her, she's a white woman that was identifying as a black woman. And she was like president of the NAACP and all this stuff. Remember her?
Yeah.
So the media basically destroyed this woman.
Get her out of here. That's how it went. It was just.
But at
Get
the
her
end
outta
of the
here.
day, what she was doing, like, yeah, she was taking advantage of opportunities. So, you know, she's taking a job that basically was quote unquote made for a black person. But at the end of the day, you know, they destroyed her.
But
So she can
she
never
still
work
did
a
good.
regular job again.
Yeah, she still did a lot of good. You gotta take that into consideration. Like it's wild. But, so let's wrap it up. Get like I say about your final piece of advice, your overall what do you need to do to get going? Other than just do it, like you said, what's that final piece for the people that grew up like you, who are in the same scenario as you are? Because I feel like everyone can see just a little bit of themselves in someone else.
Right.
What's that advice you would give to them?
Well,
Or to like your younger self?
You're never done. There are no answers. You remember Kanye West and Sway in the morning, and Kanye was like, "You don't have all the answers, Sway," but he was right. Sway didn't have all the answers, but Sway was still right. So at the end of the day, you always going to learn. Just stay open to, like, be an open book. Learn a lesson a day. You know, I know it sounds like kind of corny, but I think we all want to achieve like a level of success. You know, it's not even about the how much money I got. It's more about what's my quality of life, you know, and am I happy, you know, with what I have? Because at the end of the day, you don't really need a lot to be happy, but you need to know what makes you happy. So going back to the phrase, um, "Who are you as an artist?" Knowing who you are is very important, but knowing who you're not is even more important.
I'm gonna let that sit on them for a while. That's all I got today. Thank you, Professor X. Appreciate it, man.
Cheers, baby.
Make sure y'all tune into the next video and watch the afro, man. Watch the afro. Yeah.
That should be something you do in every video.